Real estate roundtable. So we've been doing this for 2 months here, and you guys keep showing up. So thank you, appreciate it. I just want to introduce a couple people in the room that are on our team that you guys might not recognize. Michelle Moore is right here in the green dress. She's out of our Dodge City, Garden City office. Lives down there, works with our Southwest Kansas real estate transactions. And then Jen's in the back. She's out of our Blue Springs office up there. So she just came down for to get, you guys are getting this training as well, because it's good for our loan officers as well, to kind of be self-aware and help kind of profile people as we sit across the room, sit across the table and stuff. So that being said, I'll kick it off with Todd. Todd's got kind of the relationship with Stan, so I'll let him introduce Stan, and we'll get going.
Guys, I am super excited to bring today's information. I hope everybody enjoyed running through the assessment profile and digging in. Guys, these are really intended to be a tool, to be used for fun. I want a little background on how I got introduced to this. Back in the day, my first initial exposure to it, and first introduction to Stan at that point in time. Guys, I got into direct selling. I was in the Amway business for a while. And pros, cons, like it, love it, have bad news about it, but I tell you, they have the most phenomenal professional development program you've ever seen in your life as far as getting people to maximize who they are out in public. And that was my initial exposure to it. It's interesting. That was 25 years ago. My assessment profile has not changed much in 25 years. But what has changed is my awareness of my weaknesses. More importantly, some of the things that Stan's going to get into is the issue. I've been in business development my entire professional career. And when you're newer and you're taking swings and you miss a lot and the money's not coming in, pretty soon you begin to figure out, okay, maybe I'm the problem, so let's work on me. And that's where this program became vital to me. We'll get into the specifics. I mentioned I'm a DC, so it's all over here. Guess what's missing? I know I'm supposed to care, I just don't. That's the natural tendency, and if you're not aware of those, you can take a lot of swings and misses. Okay. Stan's going to help us dive into that a little bit, and Stan helped me along the way. But not only myself, at one point in time, those of you that don't know, I used to own a chain of cell phone stores. I started in business with Stan's son, Tate. We grew that business. We started out initially with a couple stores. It really got to rocking and rolling, and we needed to get some more help. We were building on the road to 18 retail locations across the state of Kansas with 135, 140 employees. And our average age in the company was 19 years of age, and that included the 30-year-old, the 20-year-old that were at the head. Our success, the awards we won, the fact that we were sought heavily after when our acquisition came and a much larger entity acquired us, was due in large part to Stan and the professional development program that he put in place for growing our 19-year-olds. I mean, we had 19-year-olds that we were doing $12.5 to $13 million a year in sales volume selling cell phones. That's all we did, cell phones and accessories. Guys, I'm gonna go ahead and bring Stan up here. Stan has done it all. He started out as with a ranching background, farming background, and he's been an athlete. He played sports in college, then ultimately came up here to K-State, was on the rodeo team for a while. Has had a license and everything from insurance to securities to he was in real estate for a couple of years while he lived out in the Phoenix market, which any of you are familiar with that. It's a tough place to handle real estate. So from there, if any of you have been out to, well, we didn't have that whole stint of running cell phone stores, that was in the middle. But then as of most recently, if any of you ever make it out to RC McGraw's and you take a look at their tabletops, all the advertising that's on top of their tabletops, Stan is handling all of the state of Kansas, part of Missouri, a little bit of Nebraska, Oklahoma, and it is, I followed his career there because it's continued on, and he's setting the trend, breaking records, and now they're starting to bring him in and going, "God, Stan, what are you doing? Because you're kicking everyone's butt." The experience, the understanding of personalities, the ability to get in front of a client and build rapport immediately is one of Stan's absolute best skill sets, okay? We were talking about the roundtable series, and I wanted to bring something of value. What I see you guys probably struggling with going forward is if some of these changes come to fruition. For instance, if there's more of a forced movement towards the buyer's agency agreement and having to capture that sooner, guys, your need to build rapport quickly is going to be paramount. Now, we all know opportunities and transactions are way down, so your opportunity to miss one has an exponential pain in the pocketbook if you don't capture that client immediately and right away. And so being able to articulate your value proposition and what you have to offer and why you are different, that is the key crux of what I want to bring into today's presentation to run through these assessments, kind of analyze yourself and how you can utilize that. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Stan and pass along some wisdom. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Well, it is true. I believe that this is probably the third most valuable information I've ever learned. And as Todd said, I started out as a cowboy and ended up, I've cowboyed, I've been a preacher, I've been a business owner most of my life. I too built a big Amway business, and I was introduced to this. Actually went to Atlanta and got certified as a trainer. It's what we used in our T-Squared business, our cell phone business, and it was phenomenal, the difference that it made, because we knew how to encourage people, we knew how to discipline people, we knew how to help people get better. And wouldn't everybody agree in this world today, if you want more, you gotta get better, okay? And so we're gonna talk about the model of human behavior. I have a great respect for people that wanna get better and do all this thing. It reminds me of the story of the two guys that worked out the plant, and every night on their way home, they'd stop by the Dewdrop Inn, get full of liquid courage to face their spouse when they got home, and then the next morning they'd go home and talk about it, or go back to work and talk about it. So one morning they got back to work and was talking about it. One of them looked over at his buddy and said, "You know, we might have stayed there a little too long last night." And his buddy looked over and said, "Oh, really? Why is that?" He said, "Well, you know, I got my truck and headed home. It started raining, then it started sleeting, then it started snowing, then it started blowing. I'm driving along in my truck and I heard thump, 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 thump." And his buddy goes, "Oh no, you had a flat tire?" He goes, "Yes," and it was miserable. I got soaking wet, it was freezing. Oh man, like a frozen death changing that tire. He said, "I jumped back in my truck and I took off and I heard thump, 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 thump." And his buddy goes, "Oh man, you had another flat tire?" He goes, "No, I changed the wrong tire." Now we can laugh at that. I don't know about you guys, any of you are like me, that there's been times in my life I knew something needed to change, and lo and behold, I changed the wrong thing. Okay? And in this world today, we don't like the word change, so let's talk about improvement. Anything sports and politics has taught us, change for the sake of change is not improvement. Okay? So we look at this information as improvement, what we can do, and so I'm going to give you an illustration, and then by the end of the day, hopefully you can tell me some things about this. Okay, we're sitting here in a four-story building. The fire alarm goes off. Okay? We all run outside. There's 4 people run outside. The first one runs outside and goes, "Oh yes, this place is on fire. Oh no, I hope everybody gets out okay. And man, I wonder what we can do to help people. And oh no, this could be really bad." The second person runs out and he goes, "Holy moly, look at the flames going off the top of this thing. Where's the hot dogs and marshmallows? Man, we roast and make s'mores. Look at the flames on this building." Third person runs out and goes, Yep, sure enough, it's on fire, man, it's 4 stories high, each story's about 20 foot, like, I wonder how many gallons of water it's gonna take to put this out? Okay, how many fire trucks and EMC guys are coming, and how much is this gonna cost the taxpayer? Fourth person walks out and goes, hey, you got a cell phone? Call 911. You get over there and stop the traffic coming in from that road over there so nobody else is over here. Okay, you make sure that the fire hydrants are all available when they get here, and you can watch for the EMTs when they get there. Because there's 4 different people acting in 4 different environments. Okay? By the time we get through this, you'll be able to tell me what that is. And if anything I can encourage you today, is probably the most important thing. Use this information as a shield, not a sword. Let me explain what I mean by that. You're gonna learn this, and if you get really good at it, your tendency is gonna be dissecting people based on these 4 quadrants, and this one has this, and this one don't do this. Guys, this is all about people being different, okay? Not weird. I grew up in the 60s and the 70s. I know the difference between weird and different. This is not weird, it's just different. People are different. Doesn't take a rocket scientist. I was president of the 4-H club, I've been president of the Kansas State Rodeo Association, I've been in leadership all my life because I'm a high geek, okay? And I never understood all that till I learned this information. And I finally realized that even though that's my home quadrant, I better learn to visit them others because I'm kind of warped. You talked about the first time I took this, I was 98% D, 2% C, and I and S didn't even show up. That is really warped. For you that took the assessment, you know what I'm talking about, okay? But I was raised on the farm and a ranch, and it was a long ways from one field to the next. Anybody ever been to Elkhart? I mean, it ain't the end of the world, but if you get on the windmill from there, you can see it. There's right over it, And we was out there, and so we had to do things like that. Okay, so Todd kind of mentioned it too. In order to be aware of something, you first have to be aware of it. Okay? And one of the most powerful things that I learned from this, took from this, was, holy cow, no wonder people think I'm a jerk. I was so task-oriented, like get her done, get her done, get her done, get her done. Okay? It worked really good though in sports. It works pretty good in business. But let's get honest, business is about people, not stuff and things. And I had to go visit some other quadrants. So let's dive into this. I'm gonna have to go pretty fast, but you got notes there, okay? So here's the quadrant. The top is outgoing, the bottom is reserved, the left is task, the right is people. Right off the bat, the D's are outgoing and task-oriented. They're dominant, direct, demanding, decisive, determined doers. Okay? And you can usually pick that out. And you guys go to visit with somebody about listing a home or buying a home, and they say, I'm a business owner. It's interesting that the majority of business owners are going to have some D in them, because you got to make things happen. You got to do something. Okay? If they're a business owner, then you're going to want to learn that quadrant when you're talking to them. Okay? And we're going to go through that some more. So the D's. The right top is outgoing, people-oriented. The I's are inspiring, influencing, impressionable, interactive, impressive, interested in people. Okay? They're the ones that have fun. Okay? And thank goodness, if you look at the percentage of population that are in these, the lowest is the D's, thank goodness. You know, they used to say the D's have the motto, there is a God, but it ain't me. Okay? We had to learn that, all right? The S is over here, the right bottom, reserved, people-oriented. They're supportive, stable, steady, sweet, status quo, shy. They're the peacemakers that hate confrontation. Okay? They don't want to be in the limelight versus the I's. Great people. They're the highest population, and they're the highest percentage of population. Is peacemakers. Thank goodness for that too. The C's are the bottom left over here, task, reserved. They're cautious, calculating, confident, conscientious, calculating, and careful. They're when you look at them, they're almost like GQ. They always have their hair just right, everything looks good. They make great bookkeepers. We're going to go through some of that. They're a whole different deal. And these aren't bad, they're just different. Okay? So let's go to the top and the bottom, outgoing, reserved, the outgoing, active people, they're fast-paced, optimistic, energetic, involved, positive, enthusiastic. All right, at the bottom, reserved, they're slower paced, cautious, concerned, reluctant, critical thinking, discerning. It's interesting, I mean, you ever heard of opposites attract? Okay, and it's true, because if you marry somebody the same as you, it doesn't work very good. Anyway, so it's like, you find out that your strengths are their weaknesses, and their strengths are your weaknesses. It's amazing when you learn that, okay? So, left and right. The left is the task. The task, high tech, the right is the people, high touch. The task ones are, they like form, function, program, plans, projects, processes. Okay? It's still a task, but they want it to be right. People over here, the touch. They like relationships, caring, sharing, emotions, feelings, and friendship. They're the people side. So let's look at the high Ds. Their symbol is the exclamation point. They're the ones who come up with the slogan, get her done. Okay? Get her done. So they are dominant, demanding, direct, determined, decisive, doers, directors, dogmatic, dreamer, diligent, dynamic. But any strength that is taken past its limit becomes a weakness. And when they get out of control, they can almost be defiant. And these types make good administrators, athletes, boxers, builders, business owners, coaches, developers, directors, drill instructors, entrepreneurs, executives, fighters, pilots, foremen, government agents, law enforcement officers, lawyers, military, special forces, motivators, news anchors, private investigators, producers, race car drivers, real estate developers, sales managers, supervisors, truck drivers. How many do business with people for riding? Would this be an important thing to know? Absolutely. Okay. These types don't like indecision, talk without action, activities without a goal, slow activities, okay. Unproductive people and being told what to do. When you're talking to them, they do want you to be quick, confident, productive, to the point, specific, and driven. Okay. The next is the high I's. It's D-I-S-C. Their symbol is the star. I'm a star, yeah, let's have fun, okay? I'm the intensity, okay? They're inspiring, influencing, inducing, impressive, interesting, impressionable, important, interchangeable, interested in people, imaginative, impulsive, but when they're out of control, they're illogical. Man, as a high D, 98%, when I first learned this information, I said, no wonder my brother drives me nuts. Because he was a high I. Once we learn that, we become great partners and friends, okay? And learn how to work together. I types make good. Actors, airline attendants, auctioneers, broadcasters, clowns, coaches, comedians, entertainers, evangelists, masters of ceremonies, meeting planners, Peace Corps volunteers, performers, politicians, preachers, public relations directors, public speakers, radio personalities, receptionists, reporters, salespeople, teachers, telemarketers, telephone operators, travel agents, wedding consultants. Okay, I mean, how important would it be to know the people that you're visiting with, what they do for a living? I types don't like being ignored, being ridiculed, looking bad, being isolated, doing repetitive tasks and constraints. I types want you to be fun, responsive, stimulating, positive, upbeat, enthusiastic. I've got 2 kids. I've got a daughter that's a high D, I've got a son that's a high I. This little character, I'll just throw this in. Okay? When we got ready to discipline, we tell my daughter, I said, you were in trouble, go to your room. And she goes, great, I don't like you. Now, did that work on her? Not very good. But my son, a high I, would say, you're in trouble, go to your room. And he goes, oh, man, I got to stay by myself. Okay, he hated that. Okay, it worked on him, but it was an opposite effect on her. And after I learned this, he was in junior high when I learned this first time. It frustrated me so much because I'd say, Tate, when you get home from school today, go empty the trash. I'd get home and the trash still be there. I said, Tate, I thought I told you to empty the trash. Oh, sorry, Dad. So I learned this information. I'd say, Tate, when you get home from school tonight, be sure to empty the trash. I said, Tate, what did I just say? About tonight. I mean, he was thinking, oh boy, who can I walk to school with? Who's my best friend going to be today? Okay? I said, Tate, look at me, read my lips. When you get home from school tonight, empty the trash, please. I said, what did I say? Oh, something about tonight and something tonight when I get home from school. Well, look at me in there. Tate, what did I just say? When you get home from school tonight,
please empty the trash. What'd I say? Oh, when I get home from school, then I empty the trash. Guess what? I get home and the trash was empty. Because I got his attention and got his focus, okay? High eyes are always thinking who, not why. It's the difference between that left and right, okay? The next one is the S. Their symbol is the plus minus. They're the ones that come up with the slogan, whatever. Okay? Now, you can remember some of this. They are supportive, steady, stable, secure, serve, sweet, submissive, shy, status quo, sentimental, sameness, but when they're out of control, they can be taken advantage of and become sucker. They can be manipulated pretty easy. The S types make good artists, chefs, childcare workers, counselors, customer service representatives, department heads, diplomats, flight attendants, field directors, human resource directors, librarians, managers, nurses, painters, pharmacists, pastors, planners, real estate agents. What's that one? Real estate agents. Well, look at there. Researchers, school teachers, secretaries, social workers, supervisors, technicians, veterinarians, and waiters and waitresses. S types don't like insensitivity, misunderstandings, surprises, intense conversation, sarcasm, which I'm convinced nobody really likes that, being pushed. Okay? That's the S type. They want everything to be nice, and even they keep the peace. They hate being in the spotlight, okay? But they make great team players. Okay? S types want you to be kind, pleasant, caring, patient, understanding, and gentle. So if you're talking to a military high D, you can just about bet his wife is probably some of this, or vice versa, his spouse. So you're going to have to talk to each one of them a little different. The next is the C. Task reserved. Their symbol is a question mark. They're always asking, why are you going to do that? You know, they're like a little kid. Why? 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 They want to have some facts and figures. They're cautious, confident, careful, calculating, critical thinking, compliance wanting, conscientious, correct, conformist, consistent, but when they're a little out of control, or if you don't know this information, you're going to think they're a little cold. Okay? They may create accountants, architects, artists, authors, bakers, bookkeepers, composers, computer programmers, consultants, dentists, engineers, finishing carpenters, inventors, lawyers, librarians, mechanics, military intelligence, musicians, philosophers, photographers, physicians, pilots, professors, scientists, surgeons, and teachers. C types don't like being criticized, unnecessary interruptions, ambition without a plan, mistakes, mediocrity, and illogical changes. I just heard a sermon the other day about perfect. It's like, how many times have you heard people say, oh yeah, that's perfect? These people want to just think they're perfect. Okay? Right? They like that kind of environment. C types want you to be open-minded, accountable, structured, accurate, analytical, and reasonable. And this here kind of is a quick reference of what the four different types are. I'm not going to go through them all, but I really like the question. G's want to know what are we doing? I's want to know who's going to be there. Okay? S want to know, well, how are we going to do it? And C's want to know why. Why are we doing this? Okay? The color of the animal, the vehicle, the motto. D say, hey, let's go for it. I say, lighten it up. S is all for one for all. C's going, something could go wrong. We probably will. Okay? Song, philosophy. D's want it. I want it yesterday. I's, let the good times roll. S, working together we can do it. C's, don't show all your cards. Magazine, target. These next two are really good ones. The target for D's is ready, fiery, let's get this done. Okay? And sometimes if they get so involved, they can seem like they're really rude because they'd rather do it themselves and ask help and bring a team in to help do it. Okay? I's, ready, aim, talk. Okay? C's, ready? Ready? Are we ready yet? Okay, let's get ready. Okay, ready? And C's, ready, aim. Tell me again, why are we doing this? Okay, aim. Okay, the needs. This is a really good one. Man, we use this at our employees all the time. D's need a challenge. Okay? You want a D to get the activity going or action stuff, give them a challenge. I's need recognition. S's need appreciation. C's need quality answers. D's tend to want results. I's tend to like to be liked. S's tend to want reassurance, and C's tend to want understanding. And I know we're gonna go through this fast, and hope we'll get some question and answer time at the end.
Yeah, we're gonna chat about some stuff.
The thing about this whole thing is, you know, being in sports, doing all I did, I knew people were different, but I didn't realize that this was it. I didn't know what I didn't know. Fair enough? I mean, let's get honest. People don't know what they don't know because they don't have it. And if they had, they wouldn't, or if they knew, they wouldn't have it. But since they don't have it, they must not know, because knowing not to have is not to know. And what's worse than people that don't know what they don't know, it seems that people don't care what they don't know. I mean, how many times have you heard somebody say, I don't know and I don't care. It seems apathy is running rampant today in today's society. But what's worse to me than people that don't know what they don't know, or people that don't care what they don't know, it seems that those that know the least know it the loudest. Is it important that you learn the right information? Is it important that you study yourself so that you can be better? And if you understand yourself better and understand who you're going to meet with better, doesn't it make sense you get better results? Sure. So it's just common sense stuff, but we didn't learn this on the farm. You know, I never heard this. As Todd said, this is the most incredible personal development program I was ever involved with, and it made me aware so that I could beware of some things. So when you go into your assessments, and Todd was gracious enough to share his with you, it says right up here at the top right, how many in here have taken the assessment? It'll tell you, okay? So it'll tell you what you are, and the thing about it is those 4 quadrants are your home personality, your home place where you go when you're under pressure. It's really how I believe God wired us, okay? But most of us are a combination, and that's good, because you really need to learn to visit all the other quadrants anyway, so that you can relate to people, okay? And Todd talks about that. Man, I worked hard, because man, I used to have my handlebar and cowboy mustache. I had my big belt buckle, and I can show you a picture of me roping in Webb Marina. I heard they just tore it down. Yeah, I've got one in my phone. When you roping, I won the river open here in 1971 before all of you were born. It was going back then, and we had a great time up here. Okay? Didn't do too good in school, but we were great, really. Anyway, it's like, we had like, anyway, relating to people. It's amazing to me the culture has changed this so much that, man, when I really started studying it, it said dress for success and all this, and that's gotten so changed over the last 25, 30 years too. It's a different world. You know, with what I do now, if I put on a tie and a coat when I was doing that, most of them wouldn't even let me in the door. Okay? You gotta relax and relate to people. But I also really found out that with my handlebar mustache and my belt buckle, if I wanted to just relate to the Cowboys, then I was fine. But if I ever went into a doctor or dentist's office, or most of these people, I better relate to them. And I learned, I will improve myself to relate to people that I don't usually relate on, because it affects my pocketbook. If that affects my pocketbook, it affects my livelihood, it affects me how I can provide for my family. And I'll be honest with you, we learned the hard way. Money's not everything, but it kind of rates right up there with oxygen. You know, you're gonna need some. And so we learn how to manage it. We learn how to create more of it. I used to have to teach our employees, we're not here to make money. Making money's illegal. We're here to move it. You guys are about moving money in your direction. There's lots of money out there for everybody, okay? And it's going to end up someplace. But wouldn't it be better that some of it ended up in your bank account rather than other people, because you missed relating to that person, you missed them earning your trust to earn their business. And that's basically what this information is about, learning people. Okay? Todd went through this, and you guys can all go through this, but down at the bottom, how others misunderstand, misread you, your actions under pressure. If they don't understand you, then you become, in their eyes, overbearing, constantly ambitious, dictatorial, and feeling impressive. You think that's good on a transaction? No. So we got to be under control. Things to be aware of, possible lies, the lack of kindness or allowance for being. This is just information. It's not about trying to make you feel bad. You know, your strengths will control you, and you want to work on what is in control. but you also gotta understand your weaknesses should be a concern. Right? Don't focus on them, but you, there again, to be aware, you gotta be aware. Be aware of those. And once you learn about yourself, it's easier to recognize those strengths and weaknesses in other people. Okay? So, I started out telling you about the 4 B's. Building's on fire. First question runs out and goes, oh my, this is bad. What personality is that? What is it? Yes. Second one goes out and goes, oh man, where's the hot dogs in the marshmallow, man? We could have an amazing fireside barbecue right here. What are they? Aye. Third one goes out and goes, yep, sure enough, it's on fire. Wonder how much water it's gonna take to put this out. Well, I wonder how much it's gonna cost the taxpayers for this. What's that one? Fourth one goes out and goes, hey man, where's your cell phone? Call 911. You get out, block the traffic, they take charges, start making things happen. What are they? Now, is any of those bad? No. They're just different. You want to learn yourself, okay?
Couple of anecdotes here, guys. This stuff, when you get into it, Stan and I are a lot alike. We had a lot of flaws. We were off the charts, out of control D's. Now, maybe some of you don't have as far to go as we did. Okay? The key is that wherever you are at, recognize it and try to improve. It's begin to relate things. This is not just about work and the professional career. Proud to say, married 29 years. We took our assessments early on. I was a high DC, she's a high CS. That understanding your spouse becomes critical. When I'm in work mode at home, it is blinders on. I still do it to this day, even with the understanding and as much as I've worked on it, blinders on and blow forward. I've got an extreme high I son, which Stan can attest to. When you have that, it's like, oh my Lord. Because it's the focus, but at the same time, you begin to appreciate the energy, the magnetism that he has. He makes us all laugh. He makes the household time fun. But that frustration, it's the coaching. I have to guide him. He has to put things in place to protect himself from himself. He has to build a schedule. He has to have a planner in order to not miss important things in his life. My daughter is, she's the high, off the charts C. Went to Baker University. She's honors program, off the charts, studies ridiculously. But my heart breaks for her because she completely lacks social skills. If she could stay in a room, read, study, get better, be a perfect in every way, but never have to speak to anyone, she'd be perfectly happy. But success is not going to come if I don't help her adapt. And for you guys, being able to, show of hands, primary personality trait, how many D's in the room? Here we go. Okay? How many I's? Whole back row. Don't mind sitting close to one another. Who would guess? How many S's? Yeah. All right. How many C's? Yeah. Again, the C's in the room. Okay? It's a world of perfection, right? Working with a fellow agent who can't get anything on the contract to come out right.
You can just call me
Aye.
But once you know that, you work on that, right? Okay.
That's the key to this whole piece, guys, is that, you know, in this room, my hope is for all of you to get a little bit better and miss less. We're all gonna miss. Still to this day, I'm fully aware of it. I've worked on it for years, but I still miss, right? But at the same time, I've adapted tools into my sales process to overcome some of my weaknesses, and bringing those tools in make me better. Stan's son Tate he's a high ID. You want to take a gander at what my new boss's personality type is? Okay. I was attracted, to Travis.
You gotta be careful, that don't mean what you do.
From the first time I sat down at the table at Fahar Gala. Why? Because he's the perfect complementary personality style to myself. I was drawn to him. His recruitment process did not take much because where I was at, I was completely missing that chemistry. Makes a huge difference of your performance. And you take that big picture, the more, I don't want to get cheesy, but the more, it's not my personality, but the more harmony that you can put in all of these relationships in your life, your attitude is better. You wake up in the morning and you're excited. You work through the day, even though work is a pile of crap, but if you're enjoying the relationships that you're surrounded by, you leave work at the end of the day, you're still energized and you get better. You've all had those clients, right? That, and the phone rings and it's immediately like, oh. Understanding what's coming across that phone, right? It's that same person if you ever hop in the car with them to go see a house, right? It's being able to adapt. That's the key behind this whole piece. Any of you have instances where you know you missed that you're willing to share?
I'll take the story I told you the other day.
Good.
So, it wasn't my client. These, like the people that they had helped with originally weren't available, so I was showing them some houses. And I was busy and wasn't concentrating on some of this stuff with them and didn't have didn't get to know them super well. So we're going through this house, and I know, and I'm a high DI. So we go into this house, and I know as soon as we walk in the door that this isn't the one for them. So we go through the kitchen, we go downstairs, we look at the basement. The basement's in even worse condition than the upstairs was. So we're talking about, do you guys want to do this much work? Do you want to take this on? No. Okay, this isn't the one for you. So we're leaving, I'm turning off lights. I go upstairs, I head to the door to lock up to go outside. I go outside and I'm looking around, I'm like, what the hell are these people? And I don't see them anywhere. So I go back in the house. Well, they're looking at the bedrooms. I'm like, what the hell are we doing looking at the bedrooms? We already decided we don't want this one, let's leave, we got other stuff to do, come on, go. But that was their personality. They weren't, they were more they were moving a little slower. They weren't making those decisions as quickly. They wanted to see everything. And because I wasn't, I was stressed and worried about other stuff and wanted time constraint, just completely missed. Wasn't my client, so it was okay. And they did say that they told the broker that the other person that was helping him was nicer than I was. But, and the same the other way. If somebody's showing me a house, if I'm the client, and we already decided that this isn't the one, and now you wanna go show me the bedrooms, I'm like, come on, we got stuff to do, stop wasting my time, get out of here. And I'm not gonna be happy that way either, so it's about, you know, figuring out who that person is that you're dealing with and meeting them where they need to be met. And I think we're all better at that when we're in the right state of mind. And if we get stressed or if we're not focused on where we are, we lose some of that.
First thing you wanna do when you meet somebody is, okay, they more outgoing, more reserved. This is kind of where they're at. Okay, are they more tasked, or do they see more people? And you can kind of pinpoint their home first night, just from those two questions. Let me add one other thing. When you guys do this assessment, there's gonna be, because I just went through this with, Michelle, on that back page, you're gonna see two graphs, right? Don't let that second graph confuse you. It's not on your notes, it'll be in your own assessment. Okay? The first one is really your home temperament. The second one are your no answers. Remember when you took that assessment? It's like, okay, you had most, it's not a yes or no, it's most or least. Okay? The first graph is your most answers, the second one is your least answers. What we learned with our 130 employees at T-Square was when they were under pressure, they acted like the least because that's the environmental one. God wired you that first graph, but you've had to learn stuff. I mean, if you're like me and you grew up with a dad that was, no, you know, out on the farm, and boy, we had to make sure we had all the right equipment in there because we might go build fence 20 miles away. If we forgot the diggers, we were in trouble. Okay? So you learn to make lists in your mind and learn to do all this, which was my personality. My other brother, who was a high I, he could care less. It was all right, let's get this done so we can go have a party. You know? But I learned this. So if you've learned some things through your environment, through your growing up, whatever, that may just be a learned skill, not a God-given temperament. Does that make sense? There again, you want to use it as a shield, not a sword, even on yourself. Question?
Dan, listening to you, but on this, the second graph says, are the traits higher on the graph or behavior you feel more natural to you? But you're saying that those are the ones where we're under pressure and learned?
Well, what feels more natural to you most of the time? Your environment. Okay?
So that'd be
If you're a
the
high
first
I,
graph. That'd be the first graph. I'm
Yes.
just wondering what.
yes, the first graph is how God really wired you. And the second one may be even close. If you're like some people and you're even, God bless you. That's the goal. Okay? It's also the minority. Okay?
So if both graphs are equal,
You're amazing.
which we already know. Because the least and the most confused me a little bit, so I was like, okay, that's weird, why do I have to do the same? So, okay, that makes sense.
That means you've learned or you've been wired very balanced. And let's really get honest. The whole goal of a life, a career should be to get balanced. And the way you do that is by visiting those other quadrants that aren't maybe your home, but you recognize that your wife is exactly opposite of you, and so you work diligently and not raise your voice. I lost Kate's mom 8 years ago. Chris and I have been together 5 years, and they're exactly the same personality. Guess what? You know, God knows what I need, right? And it's been amazing. Okay, but you'll learn, sometimes the hard way, how to communicate in the right way so that you don't upset them, so you don't, degrade them, okay? And the same with your kids. I wish every teacher had to go through this. Kids are so different. We don't discipline all kids the same. You don't encourage kids all the same. You don't teach them all the same, okay? And now with these classrooms, what they are and whatever, and, you know, it's just amazing that the information, when they learn this, it's amazing how much better the kids can learn and behave. Because this is all about behavior. It's all about the way we behave based on how we're wired. Great question. Does that answer your question? That makes sense, kind of, sort of?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah. And there again, if you are balanced like you, and I've seen it, it's like, we all want to be like you. Okay? That's the goal. It really is, to be balanced like that, to have them all about the same, rather than 98% D and 2% C and S and I didn't even show up. I mean, literally, when I took the first time in 1993, that was my assessment. And when Dr. Rung got talking about this, and I'm going, no wonder everybody thinks I'm a jerk. Man, it's like, I am so get her done, because that's the way I was raised, and that's the way I was wired, so we're good for me. But I had to learn to visit those other quadrants so that I could talk to I spent the first 8 years before I learned this, trying to change my spouse, when I finally realized I want to utilize her strengths. It totally revolutionized our marriage. And our child, raising our kids, totally changed it all. We'd sit there and talk about, well, he takes this, there's this, it's like, we need to talk to her like this, and not like, and it was night and day. Night and day. Okay. So, any other questions? That's
Do you
good.
think they're, just having worked with friends in transactions, and they know me one way, and then when you work with them in business situations, they're like, you're AAA, you might be very laid back on vacation, but when you, I mean, is that a normal thing to have two sides there?
One's the way you're wired, and one's the way in your environment. That's the way when I went with my friend, yes. So what would you do in a situation like that? If you sat down to do a transaction with those friends that know you like that?
I think they hire me because they know I'm AAA in business, so I think, I mean, I think they gravitate towards that. They need somebody that,
Does it hurt to sit down with somebody and go, hey, I'm just curious, are you more outgoing or reserved? Are you more outgoing or reserved? Outgoing. Are you more task oriented, or do you like people better? Is that a bad question to ask somebody? No, they like that. And based on that answer, you can, once you learn this, like, that ought to be your first questions. Are you more outgoing or reserved? And they may or may not know what you're talking about, but you're going to, because now with this information as a shield, not a sword, you'll know how to talk to them, you'll know how to work with them. And sometimes it's good just to go, you know, I know we're friends and we have a good time when we're together, but boy, when I'm doing business, I'm pretty focused, so just bear with me here and work with me, because we're gonna get this done, we'll get it done right. And everybody's like, man, I appreciate that. Okay? So there's nothing wrong with asking those two questions and explaining yourself. Okay? Especially if you're not sure what they are. If you know what they are, then you'll have a good idea what to do. Yes.
I'm intrigued by the idea of asking someone, and I wonder, in all your years of doing this, how often are their answers accurate? Where people's perceptions of themselves may not be the same as what.
Well, I'll just tell you, the older they are, the more they'll lie. Okay? But let's get honest. The older you are, the more you gravitate towards something maybe you really aren't, because of your environment. Okay? So that's another great question. Watch them. Well, when they come in, you see somebody come in, hey, man, this is gonna be fun. We're gonna have a great time up at this house. What are they gonna be? Hi. Just come in and we thank you for your time. You know, we're not sure what we want right now. Hopefully you can. What is that? C-R-S. C-R-S. If they come in and they look like GQ and everything's just right, and they're an accountant in town, what can you bet they are? The city. But if they own a body shop and they're a business and they have 14 employees, you can about bet they are a D. And so, is that gonna prepare you better than not? Absolutely. What we figure out, the average transaction day for a real estate around here is what, 7,000 to 9,000? If you're on one side of the commission,
$279,000 median price, so.
7 to 9,000, it would be a 3% commission on the average house in the Manhattan, right? If you're on one side. Kind of sort of, right? Well, if you wanna make $100,000 a year, how many transactions you gotta do? Well, and if you're doing one a month, maybe you're on track. If you wanna do more than that, I mean, let's get honest, it's a business of numbers, right? You know, that's why I feel like Todd and I were so good at what we did in the numbers and what I'm doing right now. Everybody says, well, what are you doing that's so different than everybody else? I am so task oriented. It's like, how many business owners can I see to fill 28 spots on these tables, knowing that every one of them advertise? It's not a matter. I don't, you know, then they say in sales, find a need and fill it. I don't have to find a need. I know the need's already there. If you got somebody wanting to buy a house, do you have to find the need? No, what you gotta do is determine exactly what they're looking for in that need. And if you know how they're wired, then you're gonna know if the kitchen's more important than the garage. Okay? Then you'll know if the basement is more important than, you know, the upstairs bedroom. Okay, I mean, it's a matter of, once you get this knowledge in your bank, your knowledge bank, it's powerful. It's so powerful. You know, and when you have to practice, practice on each other, practice on your spouse, practice on your kids, right? And think about it. It's, you know, I drive down the road going, okay, if they're gonna do this, it's like this, okay, any more out, one on the road, any more out, people or task. And you ask those questions, they're not offended by that question. I've never had anybody offended by that question. Okay? And you might just tell them, hey, I can work with you better if I just know the answer to these 2 questions. It'll be great. Let's work together so we can get great results. Make sense?
Can I add one thing too? So I'm off the charts DI and have like 0 S&C, which is not surprising. But you know, everyone in here, and you know, I run the company, and you guys just kind of run your own little real estate, little businesses with your own transactions. So I've chosen, and I got this advice early on in my entrepreneurship career, is like, just lean into what you're good at and outsource everything else. So to me, bookkeeping is like payroll. I hate it. It sucks the energy out of me. I don't want to do that. So we hired Todd. Compliance. If I was in charge of compliance, we'd be shut down in like a month. So we hire that out. We have attorneys that we pay. So don't, you know, I know Stan's mentioned getting even, but it might make sense just to do what you're best at, do what God made you, and find help in other areas. And like Jason came on board. He's a high analytical, high C tech guy, and so he helps us with that. So when you're early on in your entrepreneurship career, you can't afford it. You got to do everything. So I wasn't doing everything, and it was really hard, and that's the grind of entrepreneurship. Now that we've grown, I can afford to outsource some things and let me focus on what I'm best at, which then moves the needle, you know, financially in a quicker direction. The only thing I want to touch on is, you know, as you're having these conversations with clients, you know, will this lead to more sales? Yes, but a lot of times, you know, you can still probably get that client through the transaction, but are they going to be happy, and are they going to lead to referrals? I think that's kind of the biggest thing that we lean on. We don't want this, you know, once the clients are in contract, we're probably going to get to the closing table. They're not going to leave us during the middle of the transaction if they're not happy with us. We're going to suffer through it and get them there. But that client does not lead to more clients. So the better we can serve them, the better we can make that transaction pleasant for them, the more likely they are to tell us about their friends and family, and we get more transactions. So that would be kind of the 2 points I wanted to add, is lean into what you're best at, and then this should help you have happier clients, which lead into more transactions.
Great point, Travis. And what I meant by that was, when you're visiting with people, that's the time to balance yours so that you know who to do. But he's exactly right. Work with your strength. Do what you're best at. Absolutely. Todd and I both would attest that. That's what we do is we work our best, but we've had to sure visit those other quadrants when we're trying to work with our team, because we don't want to run everybody off. Okay? And So we've done that, but when you're visiting with clients, as he said, that's the time that you need to get in that balance. But if you learn yourself, if you learn what your strengths are, man, it'll be amazing. Just be concerned with your weaknesses. That means don't focus on them, just know what they are, so that if they get out of control, then these people are looking at you going, oh man, that's a rude deed, or that's a too fun eye, or whatever. Just keep it in control, and man, you'll have a whole lot better results, and a lot more fun.
Guys, real quick, when we wrap up, we'll be back next month again on the 17th of July. We're talking about insurance next go around. We're bringing in Laura Prey from Allstate, Chris Nelson, and Mike Bean from Shelter. We're going to talk about what's going on in the insurance industry right now, how that's impacting you guys and all of our clients, how it's making things challenging for us. Guys, I struggled on one this week. I missed an estimate on a premium. That's all we ever do when we're throwing an insurance estimate in there. It's a wag. It's a complete wag. But I missed this